Hi there. My name is Carly Peters, and I am here to talk about my case study as a youth climate ambassador. This program will highlight my experience in the Youth Climate Ambassador program, as well as my community impact project, the lessons I've learned through this, and the leadership skills that I have developed. Firstly, just an introduction to who I am. Like I said, my name is Carly, and I'm a sophomore at Burlingame High School. Aside from climate advocacy, which I'm heavily involved in through organizations such as YCA, ATTACK, which stands for Actions Taken by Teens Addressing Climate Change, um, and various other green teams and volunteer organizations. My hobbies also include playing lacrosse. I am an attacker on the varsity lacrosse team at Burlingame High School. I love to paint, and it is something that I really enjoy in my free time. I love spending time outdoors, rock climbing, hiking, typically with friends and family. I love reading with my cat. And a common theme that you will see throughout this presentation is that I am very interested in increasing environmental literacy and education, especially among young people. It's really just so important that young people know what is going on in the world in terms of environmentalism and how we can take steps to decrease the risk of catastrophe because of climate change, because ultimately it is going to be our generation that has to step forward and that is tasked with taking charge of climate action. It is our generation that will inherit this issue. And so in the beginning of YCA, we focused on environmental literacy, just as I was talking about. And we learned particularly about systems. We learned about land-based ecosystems, water systems, and just systems within our planet that contribute to the overall problem of climate change. For example, my group specifically focused on systems and problems within water systems. And what I learned was I focused specifically on ocean acidification and how excess CO2 in the atmosphere is absorbed through the ocean water, which is a carbon sink. And this carbonic acid, the CO2 turns into carbonic acid, which increases the pH of the water and has incredibly detrimental effects on marine life. So, this is an example of one system and one part of climate change that can be tackled in order to affect the rest of the issue, because climate change in itself is a very, very broad topic. So, in order to solve it or to lessen its effects, we need to start small and start with each system. And that was my main takeaway from the knowledge phase of YCA. Another thing that I learned that was very interesting and that I will definitely take away from this program is environmental justice and how climate change disproportionately impacts minorities. It's really important to know that a lot of times we see the most severe impacts of climate change on third world countries and developing countries, rather than first world countries, which are the main contributors of climate change. Statistically speaking, more developed countries and countries with a higher monetary value they have a greater carbon footprint and they're contributing to climate change in a greater way. However, we see most of the impact and most of the land degradation, most of the pollution, and most of the climate refugees coming from these underdeveloped countries, which just makes you think about the injustice that we see, not just socially, but also because of the environment. And so going back to the beginnings of YCA and my introduction, a main theme that we are going to see through this project is education. So my main question for my community impact project and what my group focused on was, how will access to sustainability data impact district focus on environmental impact? So basically, to summarize, we wanted to see how having access to data about carbon, about the school's carbon footprint, about our energy consumption, and about our water consumption, and just overall environmental statistics, and how these statistics from our district, if they were accessible to the public, would that increase a general interest among the students and among the staff about bettering our schools and our district's climate policies? Would this increase awareness and education and just an overall initiative to have a greater impact environmentally? And that's what we wanted to focus on. And so we decided that our community impact would be providing a student voice in the implementation of a sustainability dashboard, which would allow us to give the district the input that they would need to organize the data about energy consumption and about water consumption in an accessible and efficient way for everyone to access. So we really wanted to increase education and awareness among students and staff, among all district personnel, and we want to promote changes and plans for sustainability and waste management in a positive way. And we really thought that by providing access to this data, we could make a change for the better, and students would be more inclined to be interested and to advocate for better energy policies and for better water policies and for better waste policies